There is something ancient slumbering within you, older than language, more sacred than scripture, and more disruptive to the illusions around you than any force ever unleashed. It is not dead. It never was. It waits, silently, like a lion beneath your ribs, pacing in dreams, waiting for you to remember. Across centuries, entire civilizations have turned their gaze toward one purpose: not to destroy this power, for it cannot be destroyed, but to bury it beneath distraction, to quiet it before it stirs, not out of hatred, not even out of cruelty, but out of fear. Because once a man touches this force, truly touches it, he becomes free, and free men are not easily controlled. You see, most of your brothers roam this earth blind, clawing for power, scraping for validation, begging the world to see them. All the while, the true throne waits within, untouched. There is a single law, an invisible current that separates kings from pawns. It is not written in books. It is not shouted from pulpits. Yet it has carved warriors from boys, lit fire in the meek, and stirred forgotten gods in silent men. Why then is no one speaking of it? Why has it remained veiled, like something forbidden? Because if every soul awakened to its inner empire, the illusion of outside control would fade. Hollow hierarchies would tremble. Social illusions would unravel. False scaffolding would collapse beneath the weight of awakened will. And so, the fog remains thick. You are kept busy, lured into endless pleasures, fed half-truths and hollow routines, left emotionally starved, spiritually exiled. Your instincts dulled beneath the soft anesthesia of modern life, not by coincidence, but by forgotten momentum. Now you have heard the call, and the mind that hears this truth cannot return to sleep. So come, draw near. There is something I must reveal to you, something so potent, so blazing, that the world built veils to keep it veiled from sight. This is your inner ignition, and I have come to set the ember in your core alight once more. There is a silent struggle within you, not of wounds, not of pressure or conflict, but of will, that invisible current between who you are and who you're meant to become. Your willpower is not merely choice. It is direction. It is the throne of your soul, the unseen muscle that shapes your fate. It is the inner sword each man is born with, yet few ever raise, and fewer still refine. And here lies the truth most never face. He who does not guide his will be guided by something else. Let me say it again, with the weight it deserves. If you do not become the master of your own will, something else will quietly master it for you, not through force, but through quiet temptation. Influences will appear, cloaked in language and dressed in culture. whispering lullabies to your desires, offering comfort while quietly eroding your clarity. You may even be led to call disconnection freedom. You may be praised for fitting in, never realizing the cost of losing your inner edge. Instant pleasure will be wrapped in light and noise. Distraction will pose as connection. And slowly your deeper will, your inner compass, can be dulled by comforts you didn't know were cages. Unless you train it. Unless you remember. The ancients knew this. The great ones did not stumble into power by chance. They forged their will like steel, knowing one day it must slice through illusion. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and sage, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." He spoke of a throne inside the mind, a throne the world has since tried to bury beneath noise. Tibetan monks once sat in icy stillness, cloaked in frost and fasting, not to impress the heavens, but to transcend their impulses, to teach the body to listen to the spirit. The samurai, disciplined and dignified, rehearsed death in thought each day, not from despair, but to become fearless when it mattered most. And now here you are, living in an age where a flicker of light on glass can shatter your focus, where a buzz in your pocket can scatter your spirit, and unseen currents feed on your scattered attention. You are not weak, but you are at war, and the battlefield is within. The enemy is not some figure of power. The true resistance lies in the will that yields too quickly, the one that runs from discomfort, that forgets who you truly are. But if you discipline this will, if you refine it like a sharpened instrument, then you will no longer be swayed. You will lead. And the world around you will begin to reflect your inner alignment. There is a pattern, silent, precise, that runs through the spirit of every man who ever reshaped his world. From Da Vinci, who painted visions beyond time, to Tesla, who tuned his thoughts to thunder, to mystics, sages, and those who carved miracles from silence. Though born in different lands, speaking different tongues, they followed one law, not written, not preached, but felt deep in the marrow of the awakened. They mastered the direction of their will, without flinching, without compromise, without surrender. That's it. Simple to hear, agonizing to live. Yet it is the only law that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. You see, every man you admire from afar is not simply gifted. He is disciplined. He is a master of attention, because attention is the doorway of the will. And wherever attention flows, energy follows. And wherever energy flows, reality begins to take shape. This is why monks devote years to a single breath. Why warriors still themselves before battle as if touching eternity. Why visionaries disappear for months, returning not weakened, but redefined. They are not escaping life. They are escaping noise, so they can direct their will with clarity. This is the path of kings. In ancient Vedic texts, they called this tapas, an inner heat forged through discipline. It was said that when a man cultivated enough tapas, even the forces beyond perception would pause and acknowledge his presence. In the Hermetic mysteries, hidden beneath centuries of secrecy, this was the law of mentalism. It taught reality begins in the mind, but only manifests through sustained focus. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you can hold, in thought, in breath, in will. So, let me ask you now, where is your will leaking? Where has your attention, your most sacred resource, been drained? Is it pulled apart by dopamine webs? By images that drain your clarity? By the fear of not being enough? By the dependency on noise? By your resistance to sit still in silence, even for 5 minutes? Be still and be honest, because this is the trial. This is the threshold every real man must face. No one will drag you through it. You must walk it deliberately and alone. And the cost of ignoring this? Not destruction, but something quieter and far more dangerous. A life unlived, a soul untouched, a potential left in the dust. But if you answer this call, if you gather your will and forge it as the ancients once did, then your life will ignite with purpose, and no longer will the world shape you. You will shape the world. Do you know why the modern man walks in shadows? It is not because he lacks strength, not because he lacks intelligence. No, it's because he has never heard the voice within. He wakes, and before his feet touch the floor, his mind is hijacked. He scrolls, he clicks, he consumes. He floods his inner stillness with the noise of strangers. He eats with a screen, walks in distraction, sleeps in simulation, and lives, never realizing the presence that once pulsed through him. This is why he struggles, not for lack of potential, but for lack of silence. Because without silence, your will cannot rise. And if your will is silent, you will follow something else. Not by force, but by default. This is why the ancients withdrew. In the mystery schools of ancient Greece, before a man could be trusted with the deeper teachings, he was stripped of every outer voice. 40 days in absolute silence. No speech, no light, no audience. Only the inner flame. Why? Because silence does not comfort, it confronts. It peels away illusion. Not your job title, not your status, but the raw, unarmored presence behind your eyes. The part of you that cannot pretend. The part that remembers. Modern man avoids this stillness more than struggle, because it shows him his splintered focus, his buried instinct, his drift from the source. But if you wish to rise, you must enter the silence, like a warrior steps into unknown terrain. Sit alone. No music, no screens, no stimulation. Only your breath and what it reveals. Fast, not just from food, but from distraction, from the flood of digital noise, from the endless stream that drowns your natural direction. And then, a new rhythm will emerge. Not in your chest, but in your center. A signal older than words. A whisper beyond thought. It is your inner directive, the signal of the self beneath all masks. Not the identity handed to you by society, but the one forged before you had a name. And once you hear it, truly hear it, you will no longer need to ask what to do. You will know. Because that voice cannot be swayed. It cannot be shaped by fear. It cannot be bought. It cannot be controlled. It is the steady current of your original design. And from that stillness will rise your true command. So enter it. For in the quiet, you become unbreakable. Now listen closely. For what I share is not for everyone. It is the fundamental design of the inner self, a unity of three core forces, a pattern older than empires, and respected by all who hold true power. Unify these three energies, and you will no longer walk like a man. You will move like a force unseen. Your thoughts are not harmless. They are instruments of precision, and most men walk through life dragging blunt, unfocused thoughts. Their minds are cluttered. Their focus is fractured. Their logic bought and sold by fear, pleasure, and distraction. But not you. You must become a master of mental precision. Think slowly. Think deeply. Think deliberately. Do not react, observe. Do not assume, question. Do not crowd, clear. Study only what sharpens your soul. Cut away useless noise. And above all, create silence between your thoughts. That silence is where divine intelligence enters. That silence is how sages see what blind men never will. Your emotions are not your enemy. They are your fuel. But most men let this fire consume them. They rage without purpose. They fear without clarity. They grieve and feel ashamed. But not you. You must learn to stand in the storm without becoming it. Learn from the Stoics, the monks, the wise. Feel everything, but never lose the torch in your hand. Let anger become mindful action. Let fear become sharp vision. Let sadness become the silence that teaches. Emotions are raw power, but they are to be wielded, not worshipped. The fire is holy, but only when you carry it with intention. Here lies the final point. Silent, unseen, and sovereign. The most mysterious. The most vital. Your spirit is not a belief. It is not an idea. It is a current. A timeless signal humming beneath the noise of the world. You feel it in stillness. You hear it in solitude. You touch it in meditation, fasting, deep prayer. This is the voice that whispers, "You were born for more." When the mind is sharpened and the emotions are purified, this inner compass reveals your path. And unlike all the maps of man, it never lies. The spiritual man is the only true guide, because he no longer chases ego or applause. He fights for what endures. He knows this life is not the end, but a chapter in becoming. He fears nothing, because he walks with lasting purpose. Now unify these three energies. Forge them into one. For this is the triangle of mastery, the precision of thought, the fire of feeling, the compass of spirit. And once this trinity is whole, you will walk through life untouched. You will calm storms. You will ignite the spark within you. This is the wisdom the world rarely reveals. But now you know. So, you seek to know, am I walking the path? Have I truly changed? Is the fire real? Or am I just pretending? Then listen. The path reveals itself, not in noise, but in quiet transformations. You will not be congratulated. There will be no parade. But here is how you will know. You no longer need applause, because your worth no longer depends on echoes. You can delay pleasure, because you have remembered the sacred art of waiting. You can suffer with purpose, because you no longer beg the universe for comfort. You ask only for direction. You can hold silence without anxiety, because stillness no longer feels like death. It feels like a throne. You can wake before the sun and move like a man on fire, not by pressure, but by purpose. You do not fear solitude. You welcome it, because in the quiet, you finally hear the divine. You radiate certainty, not by shouting, but by your mere presence. Your sexual energy is no longer wasted in shadows. It is guarded like royal treasure, because you know, this is the crown. This is the fire that builds empires. And above all, you build every day what no one sees. Not your following, not your fortune, yourself. Brick by sacred brick, layer by layer, in the dark, in the silence, in the fire. This is not perfection. This is not fame. This is alignment. And alignment makes you unbreakable. It makes you chosen. It makes you the one who walks with kings and silences shadows. So listen closely, not with your ears, but with that deep place within you, the place that remembers. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are simply misaligned. You were born with clarity in your grasp, but you were taught to forget, taught to fold, taught to please, taught to dim your fire. But here is the sacred truth. Alignment is not found in noise, not in hustle, not in applause. It is forged in silence, in self-mastery, in the quiet decision to never abandon your soul again. You do not need more motivation. You do not need another routine. You do not need to be fixed. You are already the flame. You are already the silence the world cannot shake. You simply need to remember. So I tell you now, not to run, not to shout, but to rise. Release what binds you. Enter the silence. Sharpen your will. Honor your energy. Master your mind. And walk like you remember who you are. Because, hear this well, the world won't be moved by noise, or by surface success, or by charm alone. It will pause for the man who commands himself, the one who sees through illusion and remains still. The illusion may consume millions, but it only takes one remembering soul to shift the course of history. Will it be you? Or will you scroll past this moment and forget what you felt? The choice is yours, and the silence is listening. You are being watched, not by fate, but by a world that often distracts you from your own power. A world that quietly benefits when you forget who you are. You were never lost, only distracted. It is about remembering what's already within you. That silent fire behind your eyes. It's always been there. And maybe now it is time to feel it again. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. What comes next may challenge you more, but it will also reveal more. Until then, sharpen your focus like a sacred edge. Protect your energy like it is your last spark. And if these words lit even a single spark inside you, write this in the comments below. I am unbreakable. Let that be your reminder, your turning point, your quiet return to strength.